When my kids were younger, my abusive ex-husband, he's narcissistic, he's abusive. He would do little things like take the kids when it was his time to take them and then refuse to give them back. And because I live in the 1950s Pleasantville state of Texas, they really don't do anything to help women. I've had people say, you should call the police. I would do this. And I would. All people were wrong and didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. It's easy to cheer from the sidelines when you're not actually in the game. Long story short, the police don't do shit. You have to go through the court system. And that takes time, that takes money. So, a long time ago, when we were still married, and there were times when my former mother in law would actually impart wisdom into my life. Those times are rare. She didn't like me. She saw me as competition with her son, which is weird. And there was time, a small fraction of time when we were together that he left me because I wasn't behaving. Now, he just wanted an excuse to cheat. And he would do this back then where he would, at the time it was just our son. He would take our son and just keep him and refuse to give him back. Now, I didn't have any money to do shit back then, and I had to work. I couldn't afford to take time off to go through the court system. So for me, it was a situation where I had to literally pray and wait it out. And I remember, I don't know why, but I called his mom, and she said, baby, when it's time to spend money on that boy, he's gonna bring him back. Now, don't get me wrong. It still drove me crazy. Still got me worked up all the years later that he would try to do that to me. Still was frustrating. Don't get me wrong. But always in the back of my head, I thought, I would hear her voice, baby, as soon as he has to spend some money, he's going to bring them kids back. He's going to bring that boy back. And sure enough, within about maybe a week, I think the longest he kept the kids from me was about 2 weeks. Always brought them back every single time. Kids need health insurance, they need money, they need clothing, they need things for school. You will have to actually feed them, okay? Your utilities are going to go up because they're going to need lights. They can't just sit in their room in the dark. If you pay water, your water is going to go up because they have to take a bath or you're a nasty motherfucker. If you don't live in their school district, it's going to cost you money to drive them to school and pick them up school. You're going to need gas. Kids grow out of clothes like it's nothing. I mean, when my kids were little, I was like, damn, I'm not spending ridiculous amounts of money on shoes. They're not getting Jordans because they're just going to grow out of them next week. We're going to get survival mode clothes that, look good. But I'm not spending crazy amounts of money on clothes because they grow out of them ridiculously. So you're always having to replenish their clothes every season. If they're babies, they need diapers. They need formula. They need medicine for little things that toddlers are always putting stuff in their mouths, or if they go to daycare, they're around other kids and they're always getting sick. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be delusional and lie to you. There are some cases where men will literally kidnap their kids and refuse to ever give them back. And then you will have to go through the legal system and the horrible process and time-consuming process and the exhausting process of having to track your kids down and get this person served and go to court and notate everything. I've heard of those types of situations happen. They're very real. I'm not going to lie to you. But on average, once these men have to lay down some cash, they're going to bring them kids back every single time. So the boy math of, I don't want to pay child support, so I'm going to have the kids stay with me, absolutely delusional, And knowing what I know now, I'd be like, okay, take them. Go ahead. Take them. As much money as I have spent on my kids over the years, don't get me wrong, I love my kids. I spend ridiculous amounts of money on my kids because I love them and I want to spoil them. This is not me keeping score. But as much money as I spent on my kids back when I was struggling, I would rather have paid the stupid $500 a month that my ex didn't want to pay than to pay for everything that I had to pay to keep a roof over our heads. That would have been a bargain. That would have been a deal. My ex was only ordered to pay $535 a month. He didn't pay that. He thought it was ridiculous. I would have Knowing what I know now, I would have been like, okay, sure, you take the kids and I'll pay you $500 a month. Okay. He would have brought them kids back so fast. I can tell you that right now. Also, I forgot to add, there are some states where you can't get a one bedroom apartment if you have more than one child, and or if that child is of the opposite sex from you. You will have to get a two-bedroom apartment. Like if you are a woman and you have a son, or if you have two kids, you'll have to get two bedrooms or a bedroom for each kid. There are some states, some cities that have that rule. So you won't be able to be like, okay, we'll just live in, a one bedroom box or an efficiency. Some states, if they find that out, you'll have to fix that. So that's another thing that a lot of these men don't take into consideration.